Welcome back to the Sensitivity Doctors. I'm Dr. Amelia Kelley,
I'm Dr. Jean. It's so nice to see you again.
and we are thrilled to have you here today to talk everything skin. And we are with our very own Dr. Jean, who has her own line, Figgi Beauty, that is designed for those of you with sensitive skin. I can't wait to learn more about this. I have always loved everything related to skincare. I think I get that from my mama. Um, so I'm very excited to hear about your new products and really just help our listeners understand how this is such a big part of managing anxiety and that whole lifestyle. So,
Okay.
can you start with really the biggest question I have is how does anxiety affect our skin and why?
Yeah. So, what happens with our anxiety is, as you know, it releases a whole bunch of hormones in our bodies. And when you have anxious wiring, you tend to be on that like anxious buzzing most of the time. So, it's not like with normal stress where if the situation dissipates, your stress dissipates, you kind of stay that anxious.
Mhm.
So you have so much cortisol releasing in your body, which goes to all of your little nerve endings. And some of your most sensitive nerve endings are located just beneath the first layer of skin.
Oh.
And those are then always kind of firing and sending these messages. And that's why you get that kind of tingling sensation, burning,
Mm.
redness, that feeling like you want to scratch.
Mhm.
Um, and then many people with sensitive skin conditions like rosacea, eczema, shingles, those are all aggravated by stress. So for example, if my husband is going through a really intense period of stress, his eczema is really bad. It
Mm.
breaks out everywhere. It's really not under control. And it's the same with any kind of sensitive skin condition.
Hmm. It's as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about a million things, but one thing that comes to my mind is in some of the clients that I've worked with, I can sometimes see their mental illness or their addiction or their stress, as you had put it, showing through on their skin. Um,
Mm.
I definitely notice, especially when it comes to addiction. And I think there's that piece of, with substance use, that piece of nutritional deficiency too, that probably plays a role.
Yeah, for sure. Look, so many things go into your skincare. And I think sometimes we forget the skin is your biggest organ. It's an
Hmm.
organ. We look after our liver, we look after our kidneys, we look after our heart, and we're super concerned with it. But our skin is literally what protects us from the outside world. So
Hmm.
if that barrier is compromised by whatever, whether it be your stress or anxiety, which leads to many other things that upset your skin. For example, if you're stressed, you may not be sleeping well.
Hmm.
Sleep can lead to tired looking skin, dehydration, fine lines and wrinkles. If you're stressed, you may not have appetite or you may not be eating well. Or if you have addiction issues, you may not be eating well. And all of those nutritional deficiencies are going to show up in your skin.
Hmm.
Um, Also, you may not be drinking water and hydrating like you should be, and you may be putting all sorts of toxic things in your body, and that's going to show on your skin.
Right. Can I ask personally, how did you discover that this was a problem for you? What motivated you to do this venture in the first place? I'm very curious, and I realize I've never actually asked you that question.
Yeah, so I've also always loved skincare, and being from
Hmm.
South Africa, I've I've got my first skincare set when I was 15, and it was a skincare set with Rooibos in it, and I've been using Rooibos skincare ever since. But then when we immigrated to Europe, you don't find those types of that ingredient in your skincare. And I always had sensitive skin. Like I will easily go red, or what will happen to me is my skin will easily burn. So it would feel like I can't even put water on my skin because it's just
Oh.
burning so much. And then, obviously, for a long time, I wasn't diagnosed, officially diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. And once I was diagnosed with panic disorder, something kind of clicked in my brain. I was like, I'm wondering if I should keep track of this. And I started a journal.
Hmm.
And then every time where I was going through a high anxiety period or where I was having panic attacks, I would clearly see it on my skin. I would either start breaking
Wow.
out or I would have like really dry patches here around my mouth and
Mm-hmm.
nose. I would be very red on my cheeks and here, and everything would be burning. Like I would have to
Oh,
stop
goodness.
everything I'm using and literally just use water.
That's
And then I started
frustrating.
doing the research and saw that it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned Rooibos, which it's funny, as an American, when I read Rooibos for the first time on your ingredients, I just thought of the tea.
Yeah.
I really didn't think of skincare. So why is Rooibos in all of your products? And what do you think the rest of the world is missing that apparently South Africa has their nail on?
So rooibos only grows naturally in a very small part of the Cederberge in South Africa.
Hmm.
They actually tried to grow it in France, and we won a court case to have protected designation of origin because if you plant it anywhere else, its properties completely change and it doesn't have
Mm,
any or very little of its benefits. It has to grow in that specific soil, specific
mm.
weather. So it's very unique. And it's actually not a tea because it doesn't come from the Camellia sinensis plant. It's a herb. So
Okay. I
you're
was going to
actually
ask what it
drinking like a
was.
herbal brew. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Um, and it's then this herbal extract in your skincare. So what makes it so special is its polyphenol structure. So that's
Hmm.
kind of what just all the little building blocks that puts it together and makes it what it is. And that's not found in any other plant or species on Earth,
Wow.
except in rooibos. And there have been studies tracking back as far as the 1970s, I think. Many medical studies on the benefits of rooibos. And what makes it so unique is its incredible anti inflammatory properties.
Hmm.
So, most really bad diseases like cardiac disease, diabetes, cancer are all related to some kind of bad inflammation somewhere in the body.
Hmm.
So it's been scientifically proven to be cancer preventative, to prevent cardiac disease, to
Wow.
help with diabetes. And there's a new study that should be releasing this year on how it helps with IBS. So,
That would be huge.
yeah, so
Hmm.
then they decided to do the topical application of rooibos many years ago, also started in the 1970s, and they figured out that it has the same anti-inflammatory property on your skin. So it soothes, it calms, and it's a very powerful antioxidant. So you would many times in South Africa find it in baby skincare, especially for their bummies,
Oh,
because it helps with the rash because it's
okay.
so calming and soothing.
Hmm.
And that's why it's in all my products because I want to calm and I want to soothe.
Right. I love that. So is it kind of doing something similar to what many of us harsh chemical users might see in like a vitamin C type product?
Yeah, so for me, for instance, I don't tolerate vitamin C very well because
Hmm.
there are many issues with vitamin C. First of all, it's like your crazy aunt. It's very unstable. It has to be in exactly like the correct um, jar. It can't be in sunlight because otherwise it breaks down. So sometimes you'll see your
Mm.
vitamin C serum turn like brown. And once it does that, you could throw it away because it's not doing anything for you. You're just plastering brown stuff on your skin. It's
Oh,
no longer
good to know.
effective. It's so it oxidized. Um, and then also vitamin C can be very irritating, and it's
Mm.
usually in very high percentages. So, but antioxidants are very important, and rooibos is a wonderful alternative because it's so calming and soothing. And we really do need the protection from free radicals that
Mm.
cause that premature aging. It causes skin dullness, fine lines and wrinkles, sagging,
Mm-hmm.
um, elastin breakdown, collagen breakdown. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of makes me think of with the skin barrier, we are taking what we put on our skin into our bloodstream, correct?
Yes, not
to a degree?
always. It depends. It depends how big the molecule is. It depends how it penetrates and how it breaks down in the skin. So I wouldn't go that far because I think there are many misconceptions about that. And it's not always possible because there's so many layers of skin to go through, and
Gotcha.
yeah, the molecules have to be so specific and such a specific size and
Mhm.
interact with your body's chemistry in a specific way for it to be able to enter the bloodstream. So yeah, that's like a whole episode.
Which we can do. Something that was new that I learned from you from I have some of my products here. They're so pretty. They're so
Yay!
pretty. I was saying that my kids gave you the stamp of approval as far as your design went. But the double cleansing, I thought that was so interesting. And I'm just telling people, I'm not kidding. I'm obsessed with, you call it the Purify the Goddess Makeup Dissolving Balm to Oil Cleanser for dry and sensitive skin. I am absolutely obsessed with this, how this made my skin and my face feel when I used it. Can you explain why it's important to do double cleansing, especially for sensitive skin?
Yeah, so there's a big debate about double cleansing in the skincare world. Some dermatologists absolutely swear by it. Some say it's nonsense. Some people like it, some people don't. I say skincare is a personal choice and you should do what feels right to you. I
Mhm.
personally love double cleansing because of the benefits that I've seen. So if you think back on like your high school chemistry when you used to do the little experiments with the cup and the water and the oil, and you pour the oil on the water and you stir it, and then all the oil bubbles go back to the top and it kind of separates the water and the
Mhm.
oil. It's the
Mhm.
same with the dirt on your skin at the end of the day. So all of the oily type of dirt go and get stuck inside of your pores, and that is your sunscreen, your makeup, sweat, pollution, that we
Mm.
take in every day. And if you use a normal gel or a water-based cleanser, it's not going to get that out because water and oil separate. So you need that oil to extract the oil, to
Mm.
cleanse your pores nicely, to get all the makeup off. And then you need the second cleanse to make sure all the makeup is really off, the surface
Right.
dirt that's remained is cleansed, and the surface oil from your balm is cleansed as well. And
Mhm.
what this does is it makes your skin and your pores nice and clean and open so that all your other treatments work so much more
Mhm.
effectively. And also, if you put a moisturizer on your skin, the goal of a moisturizer is to create a seal so you keep all the moisture inside and it doesn't evaporate. So, can you imagine putting a seal on dirty skin and dirty pores
Gross.
and then kind of leaving that to fester all night?
Mhm. And it makes me wonder, and this might not be something you know, and I want to investigate it. Does cortisol stay on your skin in some way? Is there some chemical way it's there that that cleanser helps with it?
No, I don't think so because it's really more affecting the nerve endings just
Gotcha.
underneath your skin.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say that I would put my head on a block that that's correct. I would have to also check.
No, but that's interesting to think about the nerve endings because it makes me think of, if we look at the rest of the body, restless legs, things like that, when you're more overwhelmed or tired or your body's depleted, how, especially even those with ADHD and high sensitivity, like many of our listeners, can have more of that. So I can imagine our face that has some of the most delicate skin on our entire
Mhm.
body, that would show up. Would you say first? I mean, do you feel like that's where this stuff shows up often for people, is their face?
For me personally, it shows up everywhere where I have thin skin. So, for
Mhm.
example, here by my collarbones, where you have
Mhm.
thinner skin, my neck, especially these areas, my face,
Mhm.
everywhere where the skin is a little bit more fragile and
Mhm.
thinner is where it tends to show up for me. For my husband, for example, who has eczema, it tends to show up here on his forearms,
Mm.
or his elbows, any place where it's prone to kind of chafing. So
Mhm.
I guess it depends, but I think that the places on your body where your skin is more vulnerable, um, tend to kind of show it first.
And I wonder if you took this into account when you have a special cream for the day and a special cream for the night. I've never understood the difference, except for sometimes there being SPF. So this is kind of a two-part inquiry. I'm curious what the difference is between the day and night and why yours specifically doesn't have SPF in the day cream.
Yeah, so that's a question I get a lot.
Hmm.
The day cream and the night cream perform two completely different functions. So let me start with the day cream. The day cream is to protect
Hmm.
and to help even out skin tone. It doesn't have an SPF in it because I believe an SPF should do what an SPF does best, which is to protect you from the sun's rays. None of us use enough SPF. None of us. It doesn't even
Mm.
matter if you do the two-finger rule. We don't reapply. We don't cover ourselves well enough.
What's the two finger rule?
So the two-finger rule is you apply to your face a whole, you put your sunscreen from the top to the bottom of two fingers, like two lines, and both those lines, everything needs to go on your skin. That is enough skincare. That is enough sunscreen. And you reapply
Wow.
3 times a day at least. So
I
none of
do
us
not
do that.
use
How
enough.
many of us
No.
actually
Well,
do that?
especially if you're wearing makeup, how do you, right?
Exactly. So the other thing with sunscreen is because of just the chemical structure of the components that give the sun protection, it's very oily. It has a
Hmm.
very gooey feel. So when you use sunscreen, your face feels oily and sticky, and
Hmm.
there's not much you can do about that because that's just the structure of that chemical. So I decided to do the day cream to focus on hydrating,
Hmm.
to help even your skin tone, and to help support the protection your sunscreen gives you. That's why
Mm.
it has antioxidants in it. So when the sun's rays penetrate the small places where you're not protected, those antioxidants catch those free radicals and dissipate them so that they do not cause harm to you. So it
Oh,
increases the efficacy of your sunscreen.
yeah.
Um, and that's why it's the day cream, because we're in pollution, in the sunshine. It has niacinamide to help even out your skin tone a little bit. And it has more hydrating than moisturizing factors, which means it's lighter and more watery so that
Hmm.
it doesn't feel like you're oily and you have this thick mask on your face.
Right. Can I ask you a question then? When would you put SPF on? Before, after, never?
I put after. So
After.
usually in the mornings, I rinse my face with water. I put the antioxidant day cream, and then I apply my sunscreen. And then I apply sunscreen again around 11, again around 2, and depending on if it's summer, again around 4, because for us the sun sets at 11.
Okay. And do you have to wait for the day cream to be completely dry before you put the sunscreen on?
No, I think that's what people love the most about the day cream. That's like our most consistent review, is how much they love how well it works under makeup.
Mm,
And under sunscreen it doesn't pull, or it doesn't, you hardly feel it's there. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
And then the night cream. So I'm getting the impression it's almost like yin and yang as far as
Yes,
how they function.
yes, because so this line is specifically for dry and sensitive skin, so the night cream is pure deep rescue,
Mm,
and it's meant to be on your skin all night while you sleep, because your body's regenerating, you're resting, you're not touching your skin all the time, you're not out in the pollution. So it's just, again, rooibos, but it's filled with tripeptides, which help with elastin and collagen. It's filled with provitamin B5, which has healing properties, shea butter, jojoba oil, which is really hydrating and moisturizing.
mm,
So it's that deep replenishment. And
mm-hmm,
what most people who use it say is they love how their skin feels when they wake up in the morning, because their skin feels so plump and soft from
mm-hmm.
having that on all night. So the day cream is protect and hydrate. The night cream is repair and rescue.
Okay. And I had mentioned before that my children were huge supporters of your packaging. They loved
Thank
the
you.
imagery, and it's really beautiful. And I was curious, is there something special about this packaging?
Yeah, so a lot of I don't believe in wastage, so I don't know if you've had the moment where you've spent a lot of money on skincare and you can't get the last bit of it out of the tube or the bottle and you feel like you're wasting it and you're like cutting it up and you're trying to get to the bottom of it. So
I do that with
so mine is
everything.
used. Yeah. So mine is used and abused, but I'll show you. So this is airless packaging. So it actually has a little mechanism in here that pushes all of the product up all the way. So you use
Oh,
literally every last drop without shaking or anything like that.
I
And
love
it's the
that.
same with the tube. So you can see mine is a little bit used now. You can see how it's starting to go in. So
Mhm.
it will go completely flat once it's finished. So you've used absolutely everything. And then also with the airless packaging is that bacteria, like dangerous bacteria and microorganisms, love skincare because their favorite
Mm.
things in the world are water. Skincare is 80% water, oxygen. You open your tub of skincare, you let in oxygen.
Mhm.
Humidity, your bathroom is humid.
Mm.
Sunshine or light, there's light coming in maybe through your bathroom. Perfect pH, which all skincare is, and
Mhm.
23 degrees Celsius, which is where we keep most of our skincare. So you're opening your little jar of skincare with all of these wonderful things that the microorganisms love. You're taking the bacteria on your fingers, putting it in your jar, and then you're closing it and you're
Gross.
leaving it there.
Yeah, I never thought about
So
that.
yeah, so you don't touch any of the product. It doesn't get exposed to any air. So it's perfectly safe and the packaging is biodegradable.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. So, I want to know if you were to encourage our listeners with one of your favorite things about making skincare a priority and how it's impacted your ability to support your mental health and your wellness and just why it's so important in your life and what you would hope for our listeners. What would that be?
Yeah, so for me, again, it goes back to your skin being your largest organ. If it's upset, you're upset. And when you're dealing with
Mm,
an anxiety disorder, there's so many things that feel like it's going wrong with you in that one moment. To
mm-hmm.
have one place of sanity and sanctuary, no matter how small, can really be survival for you in that minute. And what I found, especially in the beginning or when I've had a relapse, is some of the small things are sometimes difficult for me to do. Like it's difficult for me to sit still and meditate. It's difficult for
Mm-hmm.
me to be in a positive mind space. But it's not difficult to take a minute to like just massage my face a little bit, put a bit of cream on. It's just that self-care moment and
Right.
it helps my skin not burn. So that's like one thing of the checklist of 1,000 that I don't have to worry about.
I love that. Love how you said if you're upset, your skin's upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Well, thank you so much for answering all these questions, Jean. I mean, like I said, this is something I've always been interested in. And as much as I thought I knew, you absolutely taught me things today. So thank you so much. And I
Yay.
would definitely encourage everyone to check out these beautiful products. And I would say, even if you think that you are accustomed to your particular products, you really never know until you try something that is so tailored for you and just so thoughtfully created. So thank you so much, Jean.
Oh, thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.